Okay, so get this. Elon Musk wants to connect our brains to computers.
Yeah, like straight out of Black Mirror, right?
It does kind of sound like science fiction.
Yeah.
But his company, Neuralink, they've actually implanted a chip in a human patient.
First time ever.
Seriously.
It's true.
What is this thing, like some clunky headset or what?
Nah, it's called the Link, and it's tiny, like the size of a coin.
No way.
And you can't even see it. It's implanted flush with the skull.
So it's invisible.
Cosmetically invisible, they call it.
So what is it exactly? Some kind of microchip?
Yeah, basically. But it's got these super thin threads coming off of it, and each thread has over 1,000 electrodes.
Hold on, electrodes? Like they're going into the brain?
Yeah, directly into the brain. But get this. The electrodes are so flexible they can actually weave through brain tissue without causing damage.
I mean, it still sounds kind of freaky having something implanted in your brain.
I get that. But they're targeting a very specific area, the cerebral cortex. That's the outer layer of the brain, responsible for things like language memory and movement.
So it's not just reading random brain waves.
Nope. It's tapping into those higher level functions.
Okay, so what can it actually do?
Well, so the electrodes, they can record brain activity, but here's the really cool part. They can also stimulate it.
You mean send signals back to the brain?
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
Wow. So it's like a super advanced brain-computer interface.
Right. Like
Yeah.
you might have seen those systems for controlling a cursor on a screen with your thoughts.
Yeah.
This is like that, but way more sophisticated.
So what are they actually using this for?
So the initial focus is on people with severe paralysis.
No.
People who have lost the ability to move their limbs. The Link could allow them to control a prosthetic arm or leg just by thinking about it.
That would be incredible.
It would be life-changing. The chip records the neural signals associated with wanting to move, and then it decodes those signals and sends electrical pulses back to the brain or to the prosthetic to trigger the movement.
So it's like translating thought into action.
Right on. And because Neuralink is targeting individual neurons, it can decode those thoughts and intentions with a higher level of precision than other BCIs.
Okay, so how do they even get this thing in someone's head? I'm assuming there's some serious surgery involved.
You're not wrong, but they developed a special surgical robot to do it.
A robot?
Yeah. It can implant the device super accurately, like way faster and safer than a human surgeon could.
No shaky hands.
Pretty impressive, huh?
All of this is pretty mind-blowing. But is this something we'll see anytime soon? Like, could I get a Neuralink chip?
Well, Neuralink is being pretty secretive about their human trials. They got the okay from regulators, but they haven't said much publicly.
So a bit of a mystery then.
Kind of makes people a little nervous, I think. Especially when you're talking about putting something in your brain.
Yeah, I could see that. It raises questions about safety and, just how far we should go with this tech.
Definitely. Some big questions about the future of humanity itself, actually.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Lay on me. What are we talking about here?
Let's dive into that next. This is where things get really interesting. We were talking about the future of humanity and all that, and that's where a lot of the big questions come from with this technology.
Yeah, like where is all of this really going?
Well, Elon Musk, he's talking about a future where we can, download information straight to our brains.
Hold on. Download information. Like straight into our heads.
And, communicate telepathically.
Is he serious?
He is. I mean, reading brain activity, that's one thing, but writing information into the brain.
That's a whole other level.
It is, yeah.
So we're not quite living in the Matrix just yet.
Not yet. But even without all that crazy stuff, there are some amazing applications for Neuralink, like in healthcare.
Okay, like what, for instance?
Well, think about neurological disorders, like Parkinson's, epilepsy, Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
This tech could revolutionize how we treat those conditions.
So you're talking about like stopping tremors in Parkinson's patients?
Yeah.
Or like predicting seizures before they even happen?
Exactly. And it's not just treating existing conditions. What if we could restore lost function in people with spinal cord injuries?
Or people who've lost limbs?
Yeah, give them back the ability to walk, to control a prosthetic arm or leg just with their minds.
That would be unbelievable.
Right. And then you've got the whole concept of human enhancement.
Human enhancement?
Yeah.
Like what are we talking about here?
Imagine being able to boost your memory, learn new languages super fast.
Or just become like way smarter in general.
Exactly.
Okay, now that's where I start to get a little uneasy.
Yeah.
I mean, enhancing human capabilities, that sounds pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But where do we draw the line?
Yeah. I mean, what does it even mean to be human if we start messing with our brains like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do we make sure that everyone has access to this technology? And it doesn't just create a bigger divide between the haves and the have-nots.
These are questions we need to be thinking about very carefully.
It's like we're on the verge of this whole new era, where the line between humans and machines is getting blurrier and blurrier.
Absolutely. An era with incredible potential, but also some serious risks.
So what should we be looking out for as this technology keeps developing?
Well, first and foremost, transparency.
Transparency. Like, what do you mean?
We need more information about how Neuralink is testing these devices. What are the risks involved? What are the long-term effects?
Right? We can't just trust them blindly.
Exactly. We need independent oversight, ethical guidelines, open communication from companies like Neuralink.
So transparency is key. What else?
Equity. We have to make sure that access to these technologies is fair and equitable.
Yeah, we don't want to end up in a world where only rich people can afford to upgrade their brains.
Right. And finally, I think we just need to keep having these conversations
Conversations about what?
about the big picture, the societal implications, the ethical dilemmas. How do we protect privacy? How do we prevent misuse? How do we make sure these technologies are used for good?
Those are some pretty heavy questions.
They are, and they
Yeah.
don't have easy answers.
All of this talk about brain implants.
Ah,
It makes me wonder, would I actually get one myself?
that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, part of me is really intrigued by all of this, but another part of me is like, whoa, hold on a second.
It's a big decision.
It is. And we're going to have to make it sooner or later.
We will. So let's dive into that question a little deeper, shall we?
Let's do it. Would I get a Neuralink chip implanted?
Yeah.
I'm still kind of wrestling with that one.
It's a big question for sure. It really makes you think about, like, what are we willing to do to push the boundaries of what's possible?
I mean, the potential is pretty amazing, right? Like controlling devices with your mind, instant access to information, maybe even like boosting your intelligence. It's tempting.
Especially for people with disabilities, this technology could be a total game changer. Like, imagine being able to walk again after a spinal cord injury or control a prosthetic limb seamlessly, just using your thoughts.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that. But then there's that other part of me that's like, hold on a second. You're talking about implanting something in my brain connected to the internet. It's kind of creepy.
It's not nothing, right? I mean, there are legitimate concerns about privacy and security. Who has access to the data from that chip? Could it be hacked? Could someone control my thoughts? I mean, that's some serious Black Mirror stuff right there.
And how do we even know what the long-term effects of this are? We're talking about messing with the most complex organ in the human body.
We're still in the early stages with this technology, and we've seen time and time again how unforeseen consequences can pop up with new tech. So yeah, caution is definitely warranted.
It's a lot to weigh. I mean, the potential benefits are huge, but the risks are pretty scary too.
It really comes down to a personal decision, I think. Your values, your beliefs, your individual circumstances. There's no right or wrong answer here.
You're right. It's about each of us figuring out where we stand on all of this.
Yeah.
And making a choice that feels right for us.
Exactly. And that's what's so fascinating about this whole topic. It forces us to confront these big questions about technology and humanity and what kind of future we want to create.
Neuralink is just the tip of the iceberg, right? I mean, this is just the beginning of a whole new era of brain-computer interfaces. And who knows what's coming next.
It's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. But one thing's for sure, we're going to need to have a lot more of these conversations as this technology keeps evolving.
We definitely will. And we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Would you get a Neuralink chip implanted? What are your hopes and fears about this whole thing? Let's keep the conversation going because the choices we make now, they're going to shape the future of this technology. And maybe even the future of what it means to be human.
Well said. And on that note, that's a wrap for our deep dive into Neuralink. Thanks for joining us.